you don't really want to get locked in with Crobat that can't really do anything against Gengar. It's, it can taunt it, but Gengar is not really a supportive Pokemon as a Mega. Tailwind certainly helps increase speed, but when you're against a Thundurus, a Bronzong with a Trick Room mode, don't know if Crobat is the right pick this game. We'll see.
I mean, Crobat does get access to Taunt, which could come in handy.
Can certainly help.
But there is no Xerneas out there for him to really deal with, right?
Yeah, I think it'll be really tricky if Alberto decides to bring Groudon, and then if he does, how he plays it, because we saw before, Rajan has an incredible amount of answers to Groudon, and can really punish you if you bring Groudon and leave it in an opportunity for Rajan to really take advantage, either with the Mega Gengar or catching it by switching in Rayquaza and firing off a water move that same turn.
And we do see Kangaskhan and Crobat come out for Alberto's side, and we see Thundurus and Gengar leads out for Rajan's side. Unfortunately, I don't think many players still run Scrappy because Ghost types aren't that popular anymore, though. Yeah,
there's almost no Giratinas. Gengar is not too common, so Scrappy, not really a common ability for Kangaskhan this year. It certainly was last year when we saw a lot of Aegis Slash, a lot of Gengar. But I don't know, Alberto might not know that this Gengar is Mega. So Rajan could really trap in a Gengar that can't, or a Kangaskhan that can't touch Gengar, and a Crobat, I mean, not really known for doing damage. Super Fang can never actually kill anything. So, yeah, really tough position for Alberto, not knowing that this Gengar was Mega.
And we do see Gengar now Mega Evolve, as Kangaskhan also is going to Mega Evolve here too. Gengar does have access to Will-O-Wisp, which is one thing that really hurts Kangaskhan a lot.
Yeah, that'll shut down Kangaskhan.
And we do see Thundurus now protect itself, not going to want to take a fake out. Maybe it's carrying that Focus Sash, or possibly just doesn't want to take any chip damage at all. Kangaskhan does go for the fake out into the Thundurus slot, as Crobat goes for the Tailwinds here, and now Gengar gets one attack off. Going to go for the Will-O-Wisp, going to go ahead and target down this Kangaskhan, going to go ahead and weaken its damage output.
This is an ideal situation for Rajan here. Kangaskhan burned, trapped in, Crobat, not really, it can Super Fang and cut your HP in half, but it can never, knock you out or anything. Its supportive move, it just used Tailwind. There's not really a whole lot left it can do. Haze, not really useful in this situation. Taunt, I mean, it's nice against Thundurus, but Thundurus has Prankster to go before you, and it can even hit you with a super effective Thunderbolt if he so chooses. Rajan's in a really good spot here.
Yeah, and Rajan, kind of setting up his traps right now, right? He has Alberto in a tough position. Alberto now knows that Mega Gengar is going to be probably problematic, so he has to choose leads a lot more wisely, or get out of situations where Gengar can.
Yeah, going into games 2 and 3, knowing that it's a Mega Gengar, he'll have to play a lot differently.
And we do see the taunt go off onto the Thundurus as Kangaskhan goes for a return right now. Burned, doesn't do that much damage to that Thundurus at all, doesn't even activate the Citrus Berry here, as Gengar now goes for a Sludge Bomb. Gonna go ahead and hit that Kangaskhan, and critical hit. And Thundurus does go for the Thunderbolt here, gonna hit that, hits the Kangaskhan instead of the Crobat. I don't know how I feel about that. That burn would have picked up the KO anyways, but of course,
right, he didn't know he would get a critical hit. And plus, this Crobat's not really doing a whole lot, so keeping it trapped in and being able to double up on whatever Crobat's ally is certainly a good position for Rajan, so I don't think he minds Crobat being around here.
Yeah, and we do see Xerneas switch in, and this is actually another not that bad of a matchup for the Thundurus and Gengar leads of Rajan.
No, not at all. Gengar really good against Xerneas. Sludge Bomb, we saw before, it does a whole lot of damage. Xerneas should be able to barely hang on, but I mean, it'll be in no position to sweep.
And now Crobat goes for a taunt onto this. Gengar does not want it protecting it at all. Xerneas now goes for the Geomancy, but it's easy bait for just a Thunder Wave and a Sludge Bomb right now. It is going to make it a bit bulkier, but at the same time, Thundurus can easily just paralyze it.
Yeah, the Tailwind helps it get the Geomancy off before the Sludge Bomb, but we saw Sludge Bomb does about half, a little bit less, but still not a good spot because Gengar does resist any fairy move that Xerneas might throw at it.
And we see the Sludge Bomb now connect onto that Xerneas, doing about 40% right there. Gets the poison, can't paralyze it. I don't know how I feel about that right now.
Well, I think that's fine because that extra little bit of poison damage will let Sludge Bomb take it out this turn, so I think the Thunderbolt was the right play there.
Interesting thing to see that he did not go for that Thunder Wave, though. It's kind of a which status do you want on it? Paralyze or poison?
Yeah,
counter or being able to control the speed?
That's perfectly fine because he knew the Gengar Sludge Bomb wouldn't 2-hit KO the Xerneas by itself, so I think that's perfectly okay.
And it's not like, you're right, Xerneas can't really do much to Gengar anyways.
Yep.
And of course, Crobat's still stuck there.
Yeah, Crobat not doing a whole lot of anything, just taunting. Can't really do much besides that.
Taunting Gengar.
Yeah, set up Tailwind already, which was useful, but can't really Super Fang on Thundurus won't really do a whole lot, considering Xerneas is faster and will just knock it out.
And we see Xerneas now go for the Dazzling Gleam. Gonna go ahead and pick up the KO on Thundurus, doing 50% to that Gengar. And Gengar now can go for an attack here as Crubaugh goes for another taunt. Gonna fail because Gengar's already been taunted. Gengar now goes for the Sludge Bomb. Gonna do enough damage to pick up the KO on that Xerneas. And now it's gonna be one more Pokemon on Alberto's side, probably that Groudon versus Gengar, and 3 more of Rajan's Pokemon.
Yeah, Rajan's Mega Gengar really coming in clutch this game. He locked in Crobat and Kangaskhan in positions where they were just not in a favorable matchup. Gengar already great against Kangaskhan, but then burning it with Will-O-Wisp. Kangaskhan really didn't do much of anything, hardly any damage to that Thundurus, as we saw, just below half. And then Crobat, we see it can't do anything. It literally is taunting when it just can't do anything else. Tailwind's already up. There's no moves for it to do.
And Groudon does come out. It is still a pretty tough spot right now because Gengar and Kyogre do not enjoy taking Precipice Blades. Of course, Super Fang is a utility tool that Crobat has to do damage. That could be dangerous for Kyogre.
Yeah, Super Fang will be good because you can outspeed your own Groudon, Super Fang, and then Precipice Blades. But we see here Gengar, since it's Mega Evolved, it doesn't have Levitate anymore. So Groudon, that's an easy KO for it. So there is a chance that Alberto comes back from this position. It'll really depend on how that Kyogre's trained. Can it take a Super Fang and then a Precipice Blades?
Absolutely. It's a tough call right now for Rajan's side. You know, he was in control, but I think that Groudon switch in with the fact that Crobat's still out on the field is what is the momentum drain for Rajan. Like, it's boosting Alberto's momentum right now.
Yeah, Crobat, it was nice locking it in. Rajan took full advantage of that. Right now, the Super Fang definitely hurts because it's so useful against this Kyogre, but again, we don't know how that Kyogre's trained.
And Groudon now gonna protect itself, not gonna want to take any damage at all. Crobat goes for another Tailwind just to make sure that his Groudon is able to move before that Kyogre. And we see Gengar now go for a Hidden Power into the Groudon with the Protect. Kyogre goes for a huge Thunder. Huge Thunder right now onto this Crobat. Is it going to be enough to pick up the KO? It is enough to pick up the KO, and that is huge.
That'll be enough to seal the game. We don't see Thunder on a lot of Kyogres, but it certainly pays off here because knocking out that Crobat prevents a Super Fang plus Precipice Blades from potentially knocking out that Kyogre.
Huge right there. And I think right now, smartest play is just protect Gengar, just to make sure it's not a full power Precipice Blades.
Yeah, but Kyogre with full HP, there's really no risk here. And I mean, Rajan has another Pokemon on the back. You can protect the Gengar, sure, but you're going to win the match anyway. The rain's up. A single water move will knock out Groudon.
Just to ensure no critical hit takes him out of the win condition, I think. Possibly.
Yeah.
Safe.
Yeah, you can protect it and just save it just in case. Maybe comes back in when Tailwind's over and then use Hidden Power Water on Groudon. If that's what the Hidden Power was. I assume it was, but...
And Groudon goes for a Protect here. Not going to be able to go for it. Does get hit with a Hidden Power Water right there. So, information revealed right there, unfortunately.
Yeah, but he already saw the Hidden Power Water the previous turn, so...
Could have been Hidden Power Ice. Could have been some
That's
other
true.
Hidden
He
Power.
didn't know what Hidden Power it was, but if it's targeting a Groudon, likely Hidden Power Water, but I guess that confirms it, so
Yeah.
still good knowledge. I think the biggest thing to take away, though, is that Gengar is a Mega, which sometimes you don't expect considering he's got Rayquaza on the same team. So normally you don't expect another Mega, but Rajan bringing that Mega Gengar and really catching Alberto off game.
Taking game one was Rajan Ball. Of course, Alberto yesterday, we actually saw him lose game one on stream, and he actually was able to make the adjustments to come back, so don't count him out just yet. Alberto is ready to go. I mean, obviously, play around that Mega Gengar. I think Crobat is useful, but not in that situation that he had it in.
Right, it got trapped in, unable to do much of anything, so certainly play around that Mega Gengar more. It was easy for us on the side to say at the very beginning of the match, maybe Crobat wouldn't be so useful against Rajan's team, knowing that he had Mega Gengar, but Alberto didn't know that. He didn't know the Gengar was Mega.
And we do see Smeargle and Kangaskhan out for Alberto's side, and Rajan changing it up a little bit. Rayquaza and Gengar kind of a dual Mega. Who's got a Mega here?
Yeah, this is really interesting because both Pokemon can Mega Evolve. Now Rayquaza, if this Kangaskhan Mega Evolves, it would then be faster than Rayquaza on the following turn, so maybe Rajan decides to evolve Rayquaza instead of Gengar. But at the same time, trapping in Kangaskhan, we saw how powerful that was last game after you get the Will-O-Wisp off on it. And it's not like Smeargle does any damage either, but you do want to take care of Smeargle because if it just Dark Voids you, it's not like you're going to be doing anything either.
Yeah, and one great thing about this lead is that, Kangaskhan does provide fake out support. We do see Gengar now Mega Evolve, going to go ahead and trap Smeargle and Kangaskhan in, not going to let them leave, as Kangaskhan is also going to Mega Evolve here, probably going to go ahead and target down with a possible fake out. We'll just have to see exactly how this turn plays out for both players. We do see Rayquaza protect itself, not going to want to take a fake out at all this turn. We do see Kangaskhan now go for a Sucker Punch, failing, and Gengar goes for the Will-O-Wisp, going to go ahead and connect onto that Kangaskhan, going to go ahead and burn it.
That's really surprising to me.
Oh! Gengar avoids the Dark Void.
That's huge. But it's surprising for me to see the Sucker Punch there simply because, Gengar has a Will-O-Wisp and it used it the previous game. And if you were, of course Rayquaza protected, so it didn't matter if you targeted it down, but at the same time, not sure Sucker Punch onto Gengar was the right play there because you knew a Will-O-Wisp was coming.
It could have also been a Sucker Punch onto the Rayquaza, possibly.
Right, but you're not threatened by a knockout there. Might as well just go for a return or a double edge onto it.
Right. Smeargle did get an evasive boost, so we'll have to see how this plays out. Rayquaza now goes for the Extreme Speed onto the Smeargle. Does do a lot of damage with that critical hit, revealing the Life Orb to Alberto, as now Kangaskhan goes for a Sucker Punch. Going to go ahead and target down this Gengar. Going to do a decent amount of damage right there, but Gengar hangs on thanks to that burn. Huge Will-O-Wisp coming from before, and Gengar goes for the Sludge Bomb, is going to connect, going to be able to pick up the KO on that Smeargle, so that is a good turn right there for Rajan.
That's great because you knock out Smeargle, neither of your Pokemon fainted this turn, and got the burn on Kangaskhan, and it's trapped. So Rajan really making good use of this Gengar and deciding to Mega Evolve the Gengar rather than the Rayquaza. I think that was the right decision.
Right, Rayquaza does get the Delta Stream, but I'm pretty sure the Delta Stream isn't important right now.
No, but on the same at the same time, I think Alberto could have played this better. He knew that it was a Mega Gengar from the first game, and even though the Rayquaza could have Mega Evolved, I think he had to play a little bit differently, knowing that there's a Will-O-Wisp coming for Kangaskhan. You don't want to let it get burned, you don't want to let it get trapped and burned, but he did, again.
And we did see Rayquaza go for the Extreme Speed right there. Probably just going to try to bypass any sort of Sucker Punch, prevent damage from going on to that Rayquaza, as we do see Xerneas come in right now.
Yeah, this will be interesting because look how much that Sucker Punch did, just over half, so another one would KO, so Gengar can't really go for a Sludge Bomb here on Xerneas without the threat of getting knocked out by Kangaskhan's Sucker Punch. So, a really tricky position for Rajan. He's still at an advantage, but does have to think carefully about this move.
Kangaskhan goes for another Sucker Punch. It fails. Gengar goes for the Will-O-Wisp. Going to connect onto that Xerneas. Going to burn it and slowly chip away at it here. What is Rayquaza going to do? Rayquaza goes for a huge Dragon Ascent. Going to go ahead and target down that Xerneas, I believe, and allow that burn to slowly chip. Oh, goes for the Kangaskhan and then picks up the KO. Huge with the critical hit. Not going to matter too much.
Yeah, the critical hit didn't matter since Kangaskhan already kind of low on HP. It's a Life Orb Rayquaza. So I think that would have been enough to knock it out. But you do let Xerneas get set up for free. Not exactly the best spot you want to be in. Gengar is low enough where a simple Dazzling Gleam might just knock it and Rayquaza out.
Right,
so
I believe last game we saw the Dazzling Gleam do about 50% to Gengar.
So I sure hope Rajan has Bronzong in the back, maybe with a Kyogre. That would be the perfect back two for him to have.
We'll just have to see. The burn is going to slowly chip away. Each turn it's going to do about 19 hit points of damage. So as long as Rajan can kind of get within range, Extreme Speed probably just to let it get as much damage as possible.
Yes. Since Rayquaza, you're slower than Xerneas now, so you're not going to get a Dragon Ascent off it. Extreme Speed would do enough damage to it. This is a good situation. If his last two are exactly Bronzong Kyogre, then Rajan would be in a great spot if he lets both of these Pokemon go down at the same time. Bring in the Kyogre and Bronzong. Get the rain up so that way Groudon can't touch your Bronzong.
Yeah.
And then you get a free Trick Room up, and you're good to go.
We'll have to see if Alberto kind of sees that as a possibility in the bag and see if he plays it any differently. Maybe try to stagger how he knocks out the Pokemon.
Right. But again, that depends entirely on Rajan having exactly Bronzong Kyogre.
And we see Gengar now protect itself right here. And we do see Rayquaza also protect right here. Gonna just scout to see what's exactly going to happen.
It also gets a little bit more burn damage, and there's no threat of really a setup here. So I think that's perfectly fine. You get a little bit more extra burn damage on Xerneas. Maybe now, if you do have Bronzong Kyogre, you can let Rayquaza and Gengar get fainted at the same time, and then just set up your win condition.
Yeah, and a little bit of burn damage right there. We do see the Earth Power, so it's going to be a special Groudon, which has a little bit of difficulty dealing damage to Kyogres. We do see the Extreme Speed now go onto the Xerneas, doing a good amount of damage, bringing it down to about 50% right there. And now Xerneas goes for the Dazzling Gleam. That should be able to pick up the KO on both Pokemon. It does pick up the KO on both Pokemon, and Groudon, we've already seen it be special. I don't think it has anything that can set up to try to help Alberto take this one.
No, and thanks to that damage Extreme Speed did and that burn, even just Kyogre might be enough to win this game. He might not even need Bronzong.
Right, and we do see 2 more Pokemon in the back for Rajan are going to have to come out. If it's the pair that you say, Ray, I agree with you. That might be it. We do see the Kyogre. There's 1, and we do see the Bronzong. That is 2.
This should seal the match for Rajan.
2 pieces of the puzzle that Rajan needed.
And he played that perfectly. He knocked out the Pokemon he had to at the very beginning, trapping in Kangaskhan, perfectly burning it. It was, not doing much damage at all. Rajan really making good use of this Mega Gengar.
He did drop his first set, and now he's here. He's going to most likely advance to 3-1. That's huge.
It really is huge. He's only going to have to win 1 more after this, assuming he closes this out.
Man, this is amazing play from Rajan. Both games, Game 1 kind of came down to the wire with the Crobat still on the field, but he clutched it out with that Thunder Kyogre, which we rarely ever see.
Right. This is a situation where you always want to use Levitate for Bronzong when you pair it with a Kyogre, and I'm sure Rajan has that, since you don't really need Heat Proof if you've got Kyogre.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And now it looks like players are still trying to figure out what their best course of action is, but I think Rajan already knows what he wants to do here.
Yeah, just protect Kyogre, set up Trick Room with Bronzong.
And Kyogre now going to go ahead and protect itself here, and we do see the Bronzong not going to protect at all. Xerneas goes for the Moonblast into the Kyogre slot as Groudon goes for an Earth Power into the Levitate, just checking.
Yep, that was his only hope, really.
And we do see the Trick Room go up, and that should seal the deal for Alberto. Probably trying to play a little bit. Maybe that was a Heat-Proof Bronzong, and maybe that was his win condition to go to time.
That was his only play. There is no way he would win otherwise, so he was just hoping that maybe this Bronzong's Heat-Proof and he can get a KO on it.
So that should do it. I mean, the Trick Room's up. Bronzong can easily just Gyro Ball the Xerneas, and Kyogre can go for an attack. Water Spout. Yeah, Water Spout or whatever water type attack he has.
Water Spout, Scald, Origin Pulse, any of them will knock out Groudon.
We've seen a lot of them. We've seen a lot of them. And, well, we've seen Thunder, right? And probably carries Ice Beam for the Salamence.
Right, Salamence.
And we've seen Thunder. If it's Origin Pulse, that could lead to a miss, as we do see Alberto go ahead and double protect with Xerneas and Groudon here. Going to maybe try to solve this Trick Room as Bronzong goes for the Gyro Ball into the Protect, as Kyogre does reveal Origin Pulse as the water move of choice. Xerneas is going to get knocked out in 1 turn.
Yeah, I think you still Gyro Ball it anyway because, Groudon is not too much of a threat here. Even if you miss Origin Pulse, it's not like Groudon can Kyogre, especially not a special one. Even if it's got Thunder or Thunderbolt, Kyogre's got massive special defense.
Off Groudon's fairly weaker special attack stat.
It can just tank it.
And we do see Xerneas protect itself here. Bronzong does go for the Gyro Ball, gonna go ahead and connect on to the Xerneas. Does pick up the KO there, and 1 more Pokemon. Will this Origin Pulse connect? He has multiple tries on this, but Kyogre does go for the Origin Pulse. It does connect onto the Groudon, and that is it. Rajan Ball wins this set against Alberto Lara 2-0, moves on to 3-1. 1 more win away from making the top cut of Day 2 of the United States National Championships.
That's really impressive, and Rajan's got to be feeling good. Just 1 more win. He's almost there. He's had a great performance so far. Both of his matches that were on stream, they were commanding wins. He won very handily. His Mega Gengar really putting in work. It was probably the MVP of both matches that he won.
If you think about it, the Mega Gengar trapped the Pokemon the way he wanted it to be in Game 1. And the Crobat was just stuck there. No offensive firepower from that Crobat whatsoever against that Gengar.
Yep.
It was stuck taunting literally every turn.
Yeah, same for the Kangaskhan after the burn. It couldn't really do much either. Sucker Punch failing. Did a lot when it did connect to the Gengar, just over half.
Which put it in range. Actually, I think that's one of Rajan's saving graces, actually, because it did half. The Dazzling Gleam was about to do half as well, right? So maybe that wasn't... that's exactly what set up Rajan for the victory at the end.
Yeah, maybe, but I think at the same time, he probably would have won regardless, even if the Gengar did not get fainted by the Dazzling Gleam from Xerneas. I still think he would have been in great position. It would have just gotten off a Sludge Bomb onto the Xerneas if it didn't go down, so I think it would have been in a fine position either way.
Right, and of course the Tailwind was up. Right, the Tailwind was up in the second game?
No, there were no tailwinds that second game, but there were tailwinds in the first game, and it did almost help Alberto win game 1 when he had Crubaugh and Groudon against Kyogre.
And we're going to go ahead and jump into another battle right now between Justin Crubaugh and Conan Thompson. Both players are actually 2-1. And it looks like we're actually ready to go underway to start game 2. So we have Kangaskhan and Xerneas out for Justin versus Salamence and Smeargle out for Conan's side.
Yeah, so Conan looks like he took game 1. It looks like we're joining at the perfect time because this is the first turn of the game.
Yeah, and that, I mean, Salamence does Mega Evolve here. Gonna go ahead and get the Aerialate ability, as Kangaskhan is also gonna Mega Evolve as well. Gonna get the Pencil Bond ability, and this is the perfect start, actually. I mean, you know, game 2, here we go, right?
Yeah, and
we see the spiky shield right now from Smeargle. Gonna try to bait any attack from Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan goes for the fake out, targeting the Smeargle. Gonna go ahead and take a little bit of recoil damage right now. As Salamence goes for the Tailwind. Huge Tailwind from the Salamence side, as we do see the Xerneas go straight for a Dazzling Gleam. Smeargle does protect itself, but the Salamence is in danger of that.
Yeah, so basically Conan's trading his Salamence for a Tailwind. We'll see if he thinks that's worth it. It depends entirely on his remaining 2 Pokemon. An accuracy boost for Smeargle and a speed drop. That could actually be really good if he gets Trick Room up, because Smeargle will be very slow thanks to that speed drop, but then that accuracy boost will certainly help Dark Void hitting.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, Conan does get to send in 1 fresh Pokemon right now under Tailwind too.
So the speed drop, since Tailwind's up, maybe not that good, but as we progress through the game, that speed drop could really be a big factor if Conan sets up Trick Room, because we see it, you know, on stream before, and he is using a Trick Room team. So for now, I think he's going to take advantage of Tailwind. Even with the speed drop, Smeargle might still be faster, but we'll have to see how each Pokemon is trained.
And we do see Groudon come out, and Desolate Land's going to be pretty big right there, right? It is going to be able to resist what Xerneas can throw at it. And,
yeah, so
and physical bulk as well.
Yeah, so this certainly helps in the matchup against both Kangaskhan and Xerneas. Groudon's got massive physical defense to help against Kangaskhan, resist Xerneas. And Xerneas isn't set up yet. It decided to go for the attack the previous turn, so it doesn't have a Geomancy under its belt.
So for those of you guys just tuning in, we are currently joining mid-battle between Justin Crubaugh and Conan Thompson. I have the teams right now. Conan Thompson running Kangaskhan, Groudon, Xerneas, Salamence, Bronzong, and Smeargle. He was the one that had the heat-proof Bronzong that we saw earlier in round 1 versus Aaron Trailer. Justin Crubaugh running a bit of an interesting team with Kangaskhan, Xerneas, Amoonguss, Kyogre, Smeargle, and Talonflame. The Kyogre Xerneas core that we saw win the, regional championships in St. Louis earlier in the winter.
Yeah, it's certainly a pretty powerful core, and we haven't seen too much of it this weekend.
And we do see Smeargle switch out now for the Bronzong. Going to try to take whatever the Xerneas is going to throw at it, as Xerneas does protect itself here, as Groudon goes for the Precipice Blades here. Going to go ahead and connect onto the Kangaskhan, doing a decent amount of damage right there, not quite enough to pick up the KO, as Kangaskhan now goes for a return. Going to go ahead and target down that Smeargle slot as it targets down the Bronzong instead, doing a little bit of chip damage there.
Yeah, but this Xerneas not in a great position here against both a Bronzong and a Groudon, so not the greatest spot for Justin here. It's an easy Trick Room for Conan. However, Tailwind is still up, so he does have to be careful about overlapping Tailwind and Trick Room turns. But if he plays it perfectly, then as soon as Tailwind ends, Trick Room will get set up, and he could really sweep here if he gets Trick Room up along with this Groudon. But at the same time, Justin, he does have some answers to Trick Room in his Amoonguss. We don't know how his Smeargle is trained. Talonflame, of course, gets priority Brave Bird thanks to its ability Gale Wings. Kangaskhan can Sucker Punch. So there's always some answers here for Justin, just in case Conan does get up Trick Room.
For priority, and of course, Justin was actually the undefeated going into the Madison Regional Championships that we streamed earlier in May. Xerneas is going to switch right now. Going to go ahead and go back to its trainer, going back to Justin in the Pokeball. Going to go ahead and send out Kyogre. Going to change the weather in favor of Kyogre. Going to bring the rain right here, and we'll just have to see exactly what happens. Like, it's a lot of pressure right now on Justin, because it's probably Precipice Blades coming his way and a Trick Room as well. And
yeah, Precipice Blades will do a lot to Kyogre. I don't know if he wants to set up Trick Room just yet.
A Fire Punch fizzles out because of the heavy rain. Kangaskhan does get to go off for a return here. Not that much damage because of the attack drop from that No, just not that much damage because it's such a bulky Pokemon. As the Gravity comes out, it is Intimidated as well. The Kangaskhan is Intimidated.
Salamence did Intimidate, yep.
So now the Gravity comes out, and who's going to be going first, Groudon or this Kyogre?
Well, Conan's got a Trick Room team, so I imagine Kyogre's probably trained to be faster, but again, you never know. We don't know if these players know since we joined mid-game 2, and maybe they figured out in game 1 how their Groudon and Kyogres compare to each other when it comes to speed, but now Tailwind is going to end after this turn, so this will be the turn Bronzong tries to set up Trick Room, probably protect Groudon as well. Oh, but looks like Justin's seeing through this, bringing out the Amoonguss.
And Groudon does go for a Precipice Blades here, going to connect with both Pokemon thanks to the Gravity here. Kyogre hangs on, Amoonguss hangs on, Kyogre goes for an Origin Pulse thanks to the Gravity. That's going to go ahead and pick up the KO on this Groudon here in the rain. Huge damage. Bronzong hangs on with just a sliver of health, so even if it does get off the Trick Room, Amoonguss is ready, and it's ready to go. And we do see the Trick Room.
Yeah, the Groudon got knocked out. Not really good for Conan. Trick Room set up, but Amoonguss loves Trick Room. I did completely forget about that tail, and that is why the Groudon went first, so it didn't really matter how each Pokemon was trained because Tailwind was up, but I did hope to see maybe a Protect there from Conan. I don't think he needed to go for an attack. Simply because you have to expect Kyogre was at full HP. It wasn't going to faint to just a single Precipice Blades. It would have just gone off a free water move to KO that Groudon.
And we do see the Smeargle come in for Conan's side. The last Pokemon to be sent out, while Justin has a commanding lead, 4-2. Well, I mean, Bronzong's on the verge of getting knocked out. Amoonguss can easily Spore, and that's going to draw away the attention from Smeargle.
Bronzong and Smeargle don't do any damage, so there's no way Conan can come back from this. Not to mention the Amoonguss in Trick Room. It's one of the best Trick Room counters, if not the best, so it takes full advantage of Trick Room getting set up, but yeah, Conan can't do any damage here, so...
Right, and looking at the team composition, there's the forfeit. Justin Crubaugh, looking at his team composition here, again, there is absolutely no Pokemon that can use Trick Room on his team, most likely just bringing this to be a Trick Room counter. Maybe he was building his team and he's thinking to himself, hey, I have no way to beat Trick Room. I'm just going to go ahead and...
Yeah, I think having Amoonguss to counter other Trick Room teams, especially when you're using a lot of fast Pokemon, like Justin is, certainly good. But even outside of Trick Room, Amoonguss is good at helping your Xerneas get set up, maybe redirecting attacks from some of your other Pokemon. So Amoonguss, good inside and outside of Trick Room.
Absolutely. And again, into team preview right now, we didn't get a really good chance to look at both teams. We were kind of just thrown into the middle of it. Conan running the Kangaskhan, Groudon, Xerneas, Salamence, Bronzong, and Smeargle, a very popular team that we see nowadays. Justin, again, with the Kangaskhan, Xerneas, Kyogre, Talonflame, Smeargle, and Amoonguss.
Yep, so we've seen Conan on stream before, so we know he's, got a really good Trick Room team. He's using my favorite archetype. He's got the Groudon, Xerneas, Trick Room kind of core. But in Game 3, this is going to be a nail-biter. The pressure's on both of these guys. We'll see how they handle it.
Right, and Conan won Game 1. Justin took Game 2 in dominating fashion. That Amoonguss is going to be there. Conan's going to have to be careful.
The Amoonguss is going to be, Justin's MVP this game. He's got to keep it around and make sure the Kyogre as well, because Groudon deals with Amoonguss very well with any kind of fire move. But if Kyogre's out, then Amoonguss, he doesn't care about fire moves because they just evaporate in that water.
Right, and both players are ready to go now. Both players ready to send out their leads in this match. One player is going to go ahead and advance to 3-1. One player is going to go ahead and drop to 2-2, where the rest of his matches are going to be facing for tournament life. We see Groudon and Salamence out for Conan, and we see Kangaskhan and Xerneas out for Justin. So the Intimidate now going to go off on that Kangaskhan. Huge Intimidate right there. We saw exactly how well it did for that Groudon-Kangaskhan matchup in Conan's favor.
Yeah, Kangaskhan not in a good spot here. Intimidated. The Groudon's got massive physical defense. Even Salamence, when it Mega Evolves, has massive physical defense. So Kangaskhan not in a great spot. It can provide fake-out pressure, though, and help get Xerneas set up. But you do have to watch out for any potential Bronzong switch-in. You don't want your Xerneas to waste a Geomancy only to face down a Groudon and a Bronzong where it can't really do anything.
And the Tailwind as well could easily be set up by that Salamence. It is going to be important for this Kangaskhan to have fake-out support for the Xerneas.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the turn where you really want to set up, knowing that there's a Bronzong most likely in the back. So maybe just straight up attacking the Salamence, trying to get up a KO. Maybe even switching it out, depending on what Justin has in the back. Certainly possibilities for him. Kangaskhan, though, intimidated, won't be doing a whole lot of damage, so definitely want to either fake out with that or switch it out. Maybe get some chip damage on the Groudon. But if you've got a Kyogre that threatens to one-hit KO with the rain up, maybe you don't care about that chip damage on Groudon as much.
It's a tough call right now from both players. You know, Kangaskhan probably looking down. Justin's probably trying to figure out who the best target is for this fake out. We see Kangaskhan now Mega Evolve here, gonna go ahead and get the Prince Bond ability. That makes it so amazing. And we're gonna see where this fake out is gonna go after this. Oh, okay, all right. Salamence instead decides to protect itself. Justin really excited here. We're gonna have to see what happens. Kangaskhan goes for the fake out, targeting down his Groudon. Is this the Geomancy that he wants to see? We'll have to see. What's it gonna be? Xerneas does set up the Geomancy, so now it is pretty set up.
So for now, this looks very good for Justin, getting a free Geomancy. But again, if Conan has Bronzong in the back, he's not too worried. He can certainly take Geomancy boosted attacks from Xerneas, and Bronzong would get a free Trick Room. But again, if there's an Amoonguss in the back for Justin, if Trick Room gets set up, Justin doesn't care. Amoonguss thrives in Trick Room.
So now, this Salamence is heavily threatened. Justin can easily predict a switch from that Salamence, I think.
Definitely, but at the same time, you do need to focus down this Groudon. There is a threat that it protects. I think a Protect is probably pretty likely if he's going to switch Salamence to Bronzong. But still, doubling up into Groudon with Kangaskhan and then Dazzling Gleam from Xerneas. Pretty safe play. I don't know if you really need to do anything crazy here if you're Justin. No need risking switching an Amoonguss into maybe some kind of crazy predicted fire type move or a flying type move from Salamence. And then maybe, you don't want to do anything crazy like Moonblast, Xerneas, and switch out Kangaskhan. Nothing like that. Just play safe for now. Make Conan react to you.
Definitely, Ray. And, it's a tough spot for both players. Like, they had to try to figure out what this other player wants to do. Kangaskhan now going to go ahead and switch out. And we do see the Kyogre come in. Interesting call right there. Going to go ahead and make the really the attacks of fire attacks fizzle out. But I think Oppressive Blades, if anything, is going to be coming out.
Yep, but I think that's fine because if you are expecting a Bronzong to come in, Kyogre is what you want in against that Bronzong. It will deal a lot of damage.
And we do see Salamence stay in, gonna go ahead and Mega Evolve. Did Justin go for the Dazzling Gleam or did he go for the Moonblast? That's gonna be a huge turn right here. Oh, nope. Justin says is already waving bye-bye. There's the Dazzling Gleam. See you later, Salamence.
Good.
It was nice seeing the Mega.
Yeah, I'm glad he went for that Dazzling Gleam. You don't want to get too fancy here. Just play safe. Dazzling Gleam. Even if you're like 90% sure that Salamence is going to switch out, you got to at least Dazzling Gleam. And make him react to you.
We see the Precipice Blades connect with both Kyogre and Xerneas with the critical hit on that Xerneas. A little bit of frustration right there as we do see Conan get one free switch in.
Yeah, and that was a critical hit on Xerneas, so a lot of damage that Justin was really hoping he wouldn't take. Kyogre, though, look, barely under 50%, so there is a good chance it can take another Precipice Blades.
It's going to be pretty close, and I think you're right. It should be able to survive another one, as we do see a Smeargle get sent in for Conan's side right now, and oh boy, Smeargle does provide fake out support.
Right.
It does carry it. It has all sorts of different
supports. And wide guard
yeah.
support. So this is a tricky spot for Justin. Maybe his Kyogre, we don't know its moves. Maybe he has Scald, but on the other hand, maybe the only way you can hit Groudon is just things like Origin Pulse and Water Spout.
Right. I believe we saw Origin Pulse, or what did we see? We saw Origin Pulse, right? I'm pretty sure we saw Origin Pulse last game.
We saw Origin Pulse, but a lot of players do sometimes use multiple water moves, especially because of Wide Guard. Well, they'll go with Water Pulse and Scald. Sometimes Water Spout and Origin Pulse simply because of the consistency. Water Spout, not the most consistent of moves because it's based on your HP. So that is certainly possible, but we'll see what Justin decides to do.
And we see Smeargle go for the Wide Guard. Justin is excited here. Is it a Moonblast into that Groudon? We do see the Moonblast target down that Groudon. Is it going to be enough to pick up the KO? It should be. Oh, hits the Smeargle instead. Big damage. Oh, hangs on with the Focus Sash, though. And I don't know what this Kyogre is going to do. Psych Up. Kyogre going for the Psych Up here. Oh, boy. Now it copies Xerneas' stat changes. Going to go ahead and get the, essentially, Geomancy boost. And Kyogre avoids the Precipice Blades. Huge turn from Justin, even though he sacrifices his Xerneas. Boy, oh, boy.
Oh, that's a huge turn. Wow. That Precipice Blades, because it very well might have KO'd that Kyogre, so it would have been very close.
And now Justin gets one free switch in right here, probably going to go to that Kangaskhan to provide that fake out support. And we do see Justin think about it a little bit. I mean, that's a huge
It is still interesting, though, because if Kyogre has no way to hit Groudon through a Wide Guard, maybe Groudon can still pull through here. But Smeargle only having 1 HP, it's not going to last very much longer. And we don't know what Justin brings in here. It might be something where even wide guard, he won't really care too much about it. He'll be able to knock out Groudon regardless. So we'll see what he brings in.
I mean, looking at its team composition, I don't think anything is really in range to be able to pick up the KO on Groudon. Maybe the Kangaskhan, but at the same time, you know, I think Kangaskhan's the best switch.
Yeah, Kangaskhan's certainly a very good switch in here.
And time is running low. Justin better make a selection now, and he does get it in just in time, as we do see Kangaskhan come in, going to be able to provide fake out support, maybe even be able to do some damage to that Groudon.
Yeah, maybe intentionally running the timer, although there's still 8 minutes left. So maybe he really was just thinking hard about it, but Kangaskhan certainly a good switch in here.
You know, provides fake out support, can do a lot of damage with that return. Man, this is a really close battle. And what about that Psycho? That Psycho was pretty cool.
Really cool. That's a throwback back to 2008 where you used to see belly drums from Snorlax and then psyching him up. So I love seeing the psych up from the Kyogre. We'll see how it works out. He does have a speed boost too, just in case.
That's right. He is going to go first.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, Geomancy, we do see Smeargle. Oh, we see Groudon switch out right now. Going to try to reset it. Maybe forces the Kyogre to switch out, reset its stats as well. We see Bronzong come in. Kangaskhan now goes for the fake out. Going to go ahead and target down the Smeargle. Going to go ahead and pick up the KO. And now this Kyogre is free to go for the Origin Pulse right now.
If that Origin Pulse hits,
that's over.
Bronzong will get knocked out.
Oh,
wow.
Avoids the Origin Pulse, and now Justin's going to have to like reset the weather.
Wow, that's huge because the Bronzong goes from being knocked out to now the sun's up, so Origin Pulse won't hit it. Now it could even set up a Trick Room.
Yeah, unfortunate miss right there for Justin, but that's just the game that we play, right?
Yeah, Origin Pulse, not the most accurate of moves. It does have a pretty decent chance of missing.
But it has consistent power.
It does have consistent power. It's got a very high power, too.
And now probably going to try to switch out this Kyogre. You know, Kangaskhan can still stay in. I think Kangaskhan's probably the weakest link in the team. We don't know what he has back as well.
Yeah, you have to imagine Groudon will protect and Bronzong will Trick Room because there's no threat of Bronzong getting damaged here. Like Kyogre can, Ice Beam. That's not going to do anything. Kangaskhan can't really do anything to Bronzong. So if you protect Groudon here, I think Conan's in perfectly fine shape here, setting up Trick Room. He does have to watch out for any kind of Amoonguss, though.
And he is going to play the timer here. Kangaskhan now is going to go ahead and switch out. Going to go ahead and switch in the Amoonguss here. I would rather see the Kyogre switch to try to reset the weather. Kyogre now going to protect, maybe going to try to switch out next turn, but if this Amoonguss gets knocked out, that's unfortunate. As we do see Groudon go ahead and switch, or no, sorry, protect, and now Bronzong is going to go ahead and set up the Hypnosis into the Kyogre slot. No Trick Room for Justin.
Interesting. He decides to save Trick Room knowing that an Amoonguss might be coming in here, but if Bronzong has Lumberry, he's not really too worried about Spore on the Bronzong. He does have to watch out the Groudon, though. But Groudon's perfectly free to Fire Punch this Amoonguss. I have to imagine Amoonguss is going to protect, and Kyogre will switch out for Kangaskhan.
How do you feel about a Rage Powder, just so you can get the right Pokemon in at the same time, so Kangaskhan has Fake Out support?
Yeah, that would be pretty good, but then if Trick Room gets set up when you Fire Punch Amoonguss and you're stuck with a Kyogre, even in the rain and a Kangaskhan, you are in a little bit of trouble against a Trick Room, Groudon, and Bronzong. But there are options there to still win that, simply because Kyogre, we saw it take just under half from a Precipice Blade, so you should be able to take another one.
And we do see Groudon Protect here.
Wow,
is the Trick Room play happening?
Protect.
And Amoonguss goes for the Rage Powder right here. Not going to want to switch out at all. So now we see Kyogre go for the Ice Beam into the Groudon slot. And now Bronzong goes for another Hypnosis. That's going to go ahead and put the Amoonguss to sleep. So now the Amoonguss is sleeping. No support for it. No support for that Kyogre. And it's still, I mean, smart play from Conan for not trying to set up that Trick Room.
Yeah, maybe Ice Beam will KO the Groudon here. I'm really not sure. Justin would know that a lot better than us, and it depends entirely how they're trained. But it does have the 2 stages of special attack, so an Ice Beam would be doing a lot of damage. It's just Groudon. Since it's a Trick Room version, wow.
Another Protect from that Groudon.
Wow.
Huge Protect. Kyogre goes for an Ice Beam, does its Hypnosis hit. Hypnosis goes off and hits that Kyogre.
Wow.
Oh no! A triple Protect. Huge from Conan as Amoonguss continues to stay asleep. And oh no! Oh no!
And Protect works differently this generation too, where it's not just the same percentage every turn like it was in previous years. The chance of Protect actually working as you try and double and triple Protect actually goes down now. So the odds of that happening
exponential decrease.
Right, so the odds of that were actually very, very low.
So now it's going to be Kyogre fast asleep. Amoonguss has taken 1 turn of sleep so far. And, oh boy.
It's not even like Hypnosis, you know, is that accurate. It's 60%, and look at it hitting. Although I guess gravity was up, so it did have slightly under 100%, more like 90%.
He did miss a lot of them in the first round versus Aaron Trailer, so
maybe
I
making
guess
up
this is
for it
retribution right here. Oh boy, Justin in a tough spot right here. I feel like going back, I probably would have switched that Kyogre out.
Yeah, it's tough to switch out when you've got, you know, the Psych Up boost, but at the same time, if you do switch it out, I think you're in a really, really good spot to win regardless, because you don't really need the stat boost when you're against a Bronzong whose only attack is Gyro Ball, and when you're in the rain against Groudon. And stat boosts don't matter at that point.
We see Kangaskhan switch in right now. The Pressus Blades connects. Gonna go ahead and hit both Kangaskhan and Kyogre. Kyogre hangs on with 4 hit points right there. Yeah, Bronzong goes for the Gyro Ball right now. Gonna connect onto that Kyogre and picks up the KO. Huge KO right there with the critical hit, not going to matter too much. Conan is ecstatic. Justin looking back, probably thinking back, how could he have played this differently?
Yeah, Conan definitely got some really good luck, but there are ways Justin could have played that differently, but at the same time, I mean, he gave himself great odds to win this match.
And it's always that situation where you have a boosted Pokemon, you don't want to switch out to reset its stats, but at that point, I think the weather is more important than the stats.
Yeah, since you don't need the stats to KO Groudon if you've got the rain up, maybe he would have been better served switching it out and trying to get Kangaskhan and Kyogre in at the same time. But there are risks with everything. Maybe Conan could have outpredicted that. I mean, nothing would have been 100% chance to win, and he certainly gave himself as close to 100% as he could. I mean, Groudon had to get a triple Protect off. The odds of that are so low, and that's just the game we played, Dwee.
That's just so unfortunate to see. Even Conan couldn't believe it. The audience went off when that happened. Oh, you got to feel for Justin right here. Still some outs here and there. Maybe a little side power-up punch onto the Amoonguss, missing a Hypnosis. Kangaskhan goes for the fake out instead into the Groudon, and Bronzong goes for another Hypnosis, hits the Hypnosis, and that is going to go ahead and put Kangaskhan to sleep. That should do it, really. We do see Amoonguss wakes up and goes for a Grass Knot, going to target down the Bronzong, going to do a little bit of chip damage here and there. Time is now a factor, but...
Yeah, I think now Conan's got this.
Yeah, Kangaskhan is asleep.
Kangaskhan's freshly put to sleep. There's no way Justin can KO this Groudon. Conan just can't believe. Conan just can't believe it.
Kangaskhan is fast asleep, cannot wake up and move, as Groudon goes for a Fire Punch now on to the Kangaskhan and picks up the KO. It doesn't matter. Time is going to go ahead and expire after, well, maybe we'll get one more turn, but Amoonguss versus a Groudon in the sun, that's not what you want to be.
Nope. Conan, jeez, I can't believe how that game turned out, because Justin was way ahead, but Conan coming through. At least he recognized his win condition. He knew he had to get like a triple Protect off or something ridiculous, and you know that he played to that win condition. So you got to give him props for that.
Absolutely.
He did get lucky, but he recognized what he had to do. And
such an amazing battle right there.